playing. Team did a really good job last week of the guys that we could practice. I thought we had some really good practices. The guys at quarantine could train and run in limited groups. Thought they did a really nice job with that. Got some good work in Saturday the same way. Got some running, conditioning, very hard day. Kind of get them in back like work on Saturday, get back on Monday, and did as best we could. And I thought we did a nice job of that. Guys are excited to get back to play. We're anxious to get back to play, and got a very good LSU team, very talented football team. They had a big win on the road on Saturday, came back and won at the end of the game right there, and did a really nice job. Got some stands and did the things they had to do to win the game. Big front, athletic in the secondary, run it backer. Receivers all run. Big offensive line, backs very talented. Quarterback, big, strong. Tight end, young tight end is talented. I mean, extremely talented. So punter kicks at 48 yards a punt. Kicks the heck out of it. Put Arkansas on a long field all day long. Kickoff guy, about all but 4 or 5 have been kicked out of the end zone. So, I mean, they do a good job there. They've returned kickoffs, punts, touchdowns. So, our kickoffs for sure. And so, very talented football team. We're going to have to play a heck of a football game. Questions?
We'll start with Owen Buchanan from TexAgs.com.
Hi, Jimbo. First of all, just to clarify, so y'all have no positives right now?
No, our guys all should be there. Yes, sir.
Any concerns at all for you about whether or not the 2-week, I guess it'll be 3-week break, or y'all have any trouble picking up where you left off, or rust, or anything of that nature?
Well, I mean, I worried that we could keep it going. I mean, sometimes you worry that you're playing so well, you keep it going till the guys get lax, they take it for granted. So, I mean, I think the guys are hungry. I think they want to play. I think they miss playing. So I don't anticipate them not coming back full board. But anyway, that's somehow, again, we got to practice the heck out of them this week, practice hard, get that timing, make it realistic as we can. So it's like game-like, and so we can play on Saturday. But I'd be worried about it if we had played for 2 weeks, and I'd be worried about it if we hadn't played for 2 weeks. And I'm not trying to be smart. I'm being honest. That's just me as a coach.
And one last thing, Coach.
Yes,
when
sir.
you consider the injuries y'all had at tight end and at receiver, and now losing, Michael Clemens, does it seem almost surprising that you guys are in the position you're in with those kind of injuries?
Not with the kids we have. I think our kids are very resilient. I think we got good football players. I think we got some tough guys. I think our coaches are doing a great job of developing these young players. And we've had a lot of adversity, but hey, 2020 is an adverse year. We know that for sure. And so, we just try to embrace it. And hopefully that's a great sign of things and where we're trying to go with the culture of our program. Because, listen, you're going to have attrition. You're going to have things. It's like in life, things are going to happen. So we just got to do the best job you can and move on. There's opportunity for other guys. And that shows you, hopefully, the depth in which some of our young recruiting classes getting these young guys opportunities.
All right. Thank you very much, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to Gabe Bach from TexAgs.com.
Yeah, Jimbo, when you think of that, when you watch this LSU quarterback, TJ Finley, what really stands out about him? And does he remind you of any of those big physical QBs you had when you were at LSU?
Yeah, he does. I mean, listen, he can get the ball all over the field. I saw him play in high school and different things. It was like it was a 7-on-7 my son was playing, and I saw he was at a tournament down in Miami one time, man. And when you see him in person, he's impressive. His size, his length, very strong arm, very athletic, runs good for a big guy. Hard to get on the ground, strong body, can reach all parts of the field. I mean, he's only played a few football games, but you see the sky's the limit for him, and is a very, very talented young man.
I also want to see if you could respond to the news that Cam Brown last week announced he was opting out, and then just a few moments ago announced he was going to UCLA.
Yeah, listen, great young man. Wish him nothing but the best, and I did. Happy for him if that's what he wants to do. Hey, losing him, I mean, he like I say, was doing a good job for us. Great family, great people, and I wish him nothing but the best. I promise you that. He was great for us.
All right, let's move on. We got Chris Dusterhoff from Brian Broadcasting.
It's Chip Howard, but thanks, Brad. Coach, you went down most of the roster for LSU, but when you turn on the tape, is there one particular area of the team that kind of jumps out at you?
I think their overall athleticism, just to be able to run and play with big bodies. I mean, their ends can rush. The tight ends are so athletic. The receivers are big and strong. The backs, the DBs can all. I mean, they all do athletically across it. There's a lot of draft picks on there. You know what I mean? And big bodies that can play. I mean, I would just say that, no, I don't think there's any one area that just jumps out at you. But what jumps out you as a team is their overall size, speed, and athleticism.
I know they've had young quarterbacks and they've had good days and bad days. Is that most of the reason for the inconsistency we've seen from this team so far?
Well, I mean, till you're actually there and you know the reason, what's being told and what's being coached, that I can't say that because I don't, you don't know that. But I mean, it's usually a combination of everything. I mean, what guys can, that's the thing about putting a team together is you have experience here, inexperience over here. So you try to do as much as inexperienced guys are, but you don't want to hold the experienced guys back, and, and vice versa, offense, defense, whatever it may be. And, that's kind of the way it goes. And plus they've had a new coordinator on defense. So they're getting accustomed to that. And I've been with Bo. Bo's a tremendous football coach. I was on the staff with him, so I know it. So, I mean, it's just, I can't answer that. And I know I'm beating around the bush, but I tell you, what a guy's been coached to do, what he's being told, you can't answer that. But listen, they're a talented team, and we're going to have to play a heck of a football game.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to Zach Taylor from WTIW.
Yeah, Jimbo, this game has been billed ever since A&M entered the SEC as the rivalry game between these two teams. So with the game last year going the way that it did, have your guys talked at all? Have you heard anybody talking about kind of a revenge game, so to speak?
No, and because I don't speak like that. I'm sure they want to play well. I mean, anytime you get beat, you want to go back and play and compete very well. But I don't ever like the word revenge. I think revenge clouds your thinking. I think that you got two different teams, two different groups of people, 2 different years apart. You want to win because somebody had success against you. I mean, that's human nature. That's common. You want to stand back up and represent your program and what you do, and hopefully we'll play well. But I don't ever get into revenge because, like I say, one, it's those group of guys are gone. Our group of guys are gone. Some are here, some aren't. But I always felt revenge clouds your thinking. You got to base on what you have now and who you are and what you do.
And I know that you like to take it one game at a time, probably don't pay that close attention to the polls, but with the college football playoff coming out tomorrow night, is that going to be something that you're going to be paying attention to?
Listen, that's going to be a Tuesday. That's going to be a Tuesday evening. We have just had a Tuesday practice. I will be in there watching film like crazy, trying to get ready for Wednesday and doing because Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, they were grind days. I won't have time to look at the TV. Somebody will tell me, listen, say it's not important. That's your ultimate goal where you want to go. We understand that. It's great to be mentioned. It's great to be up there. You want to be there. You want to be in those situations for sure, because you don't want to have to climb. You put yourself in those things. There's no doubt, but you can't worry about it. What we have to do now is take care of our business 1 week at a time. And if we're in there and we're close, then that's awesome. Hopefully that'll keep us playing and doing the things we have to do, but it ain't going to make us win games. It ain't going to make us lose games. What's going to do it is how we prepare and how we look at things and not let that stuff get clouded in our head.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to Brent Zorneman with the Houston Chronicle.
Jimbo, when you won the national title in 2013, that next year you had your 14 team in the first college football playoff. My question to you is, how hard is it to repeat, to keep the guys' attention, to keep their focus when they've won a title?
Extremely hard because, you take things for granted, and all of a sudden there's so many outlying factors and people who want to be a part of your program or be a part of with your players and distraction. And I say not distraction because, the players, the people that respond to them, the people that talk to them. And I say that clutter, which is, listen, that goes with the territory when you have success. People want to be around winners. Nothing wrong with that, but you got to know how to control it. And that's a hard thing to do. It's keeping your guys hungry and, thinking, well, we've done it before. No, you can't just turn it on, turn it off. You got to keep an edge. You got to come with an edge. You got to come and like you have never been there before. And it's as a coach, it's a challenging thing. And as a player, it's a challenging thing. And sometimes on both occasions, you don't even realize it's happening to you sometimes, because the thing you want to do, which makes it tough, you try to accommodate people. You want to be nice to people. You want to treat people well, but you don't have enough time in a day and enough time to accommodate everything and be out there for everybody. It just doesn't work that way. And that's a bad habit I have. I mean, I want to do that. I think players want to do that. You don't want to seem like you're ignoring or doing things, but you got to keep the main thing. And it's a very, very challenging thing, Brent, to say all that. I could say it's very, very hard. I'll tell you that.
Right. Speaking of not enough time in the day, is there anything you do different this week to kind of speed up that process? And I know that's probably tough to do in terms of kind of getting these guys back in the rhythm.
No, I mean, we'll have a normal Monday practice. And like an off week, we usually bump Monday up just another 15 or 20 minutes if we coming off an off week where we may have a little more information and we can get to them on that day. But we try to keep them in the same routine and keep them going each and every week.
Happy Thanksgiving, Jimbo. Thank you.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving to y'all too.
Next up is Tyler Shaw from KBTX.
Coach, kind of going off what Zach asked earlier, he was talking about rivalry week. And I know last year, you don't talk about the revenge, but you even go 2 years ago and what happened last time they were at Kyle Field with that 7 overtime game. I know that's hard to forget. Would you consider this a rivalry game between A&M and LSU?
Well, rivalry games are usually when both sides win. That's happened. The games are very important for the conference and for the league you're in. So yeah, I mean, these are getting to be that way. I mean, whether it's a rivalry or not, I don't know that. I just know it's a very important football game. One, it's the next game, and it's a big game, and it's a team that you have to play well against to reach your goals and the SEC West to get to where you have to go in the national spotlight. So it's a very important game, whether it's a rivalry game or not. That's up for other people to decide. It's just an extremely important game. I know that each and every year.
All right, next up is Travis Brown from the Bryan College Station Eagle.
Coach, curious, I know am I working?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, cool. Curious that, I know we've talked about it a couple of times before, but what has been the key factor to success on third downs on offense that y'all have been able to now lead the nation in third down conversion percentage?
Well, I think we prioritize. We spend a lot of time on it and all of our different looks and things we do. And I think when you call plays on first and second down, you got to keep third down in mind. And also by how, that team goes. And I think we've done a good job of eliminating negative plays and things that set you behind the chains in your third down. So you've been in makeable third down situations, which has allowed us to help. And then we try to emphasize that, and our players have done a really good job of executing. Our coaches have done a good job of, breaking film down and getting tendencies and doing things like that and finding out, importantly, as much as anything, what we do well. You worry about the defense sometimes, but I'm figuring out who we get the ball to, what we do well, and the things that happen. But I think it's a cumulative thing. I don't think it's any one thing.
Sure. And then, like you said, you used Spiller on some of these. You've used Mon throwing. How much of being good at third down is a collective team unit thing and not just hey, we're just handing it off to Isaiah and he's getting the yards for us?
Yeah, no doubt. You got to do that. But I mean, protection, you're going protection up front. You're going protection, whether it's tight end or a back picking it up, how the routes are ran by the receivers. I understand third down, you're getting a lot more press coverage, getting a lot more man coverage, where those holes are on third and long. I mean, there's so much that goes into it. And our guys are playing with very good intelligence and executing at a high level. And we're going to have to, because I believe Arkansas was a big thing in the game the other day. Arkansas was 0 for 10 on third down against LSU in the game the other day. So that was a very big part of Arkansas not having as many plays and got off the field, and LSU was getting them off the field. That was critical.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, next up is Jennifer Streeter from the Battalion.
Hey, Coach. If y'all win this game, that'll put y'all's record at 6-1, which would be the first time y'all have had that record in about 4 years. What do you think that would mean for the program, and do you think that kind of shows as a benchmark as to where y'all are going?
Well, I mean, again, I think it takes steps and to go where you got to go to get to the top of the mountain where you have to go. You have to take one step at a time. That's another step, and hopefully it's showing us that we can play with more consistency, and we're learning to do that, and we're appreciating how to prepare and get ready to play these games, important games in our own conference, and then that that makes the next one even more important. So hopefully it's a maturity thing and getting the culture of where we want to go and understanding how to prepare and play in very important football games.
And then kind of building off that, what do you think possibly achieving that record with an all SEC schedule would mean for the program?
Well, I mean, again, you're in the toughest division. You're in the best league in ball, and you're in the toughest division in ball. So I think it gives your kids confidence. It gives them the awareness that, hey, we can play with anybody in the country. And there's other very good teams out there in all kinds of leagues. But at least when the top league in football is being played in the top division, that we have the capability of standing up and playing very well in that. And hopefully that builds on their confidence, which allows them to give them more encouragement to keep doing the things they're doing and play better.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Next up is Robert Cessna from the Bryan College Station Eagle, and then Chuck Carlton.
Jimbo, getting back to the national champion, not everybody plays a defending national champion every week. So I just wonder, getting back to your experience as one of the few coaches that did that, did you find that everybody gave you the best effort on 2014? I noticed you had a lot of close games that year.
Well, we did, yeah, and we'd won 20. We ended up winning 29 in a row there. We had a run of winning 29 games in a row, and yeah, it was very challenging because people knew who you were. That was a benchmark. You were the standard at that time, and people were trying to knock you off. So I mean, you definitely get that, and I think that's anybody. As a competitor, all right, every guy who plays the game, I don't care what team it is, wants to win. I mean, they want to be considered one of the best teams. So when you get a chance to play somebody who's won a championship or is the reigning champion, you definitely have to play well. and it gives you credibility. It gives you confidence, gives you a lot of things, and measures you as the work and the things in which you're doing. There's no doubt about that. And people did that to us. I mean, we got everybody's best shot. We played that 14 season was everybody complained at 13. We won by too many big scores. Well, I told them we kept them in the stands on 14 because they had to stay right to the end. They were nail biters all the way through. But again, the culture of the organization came through and won those games.
And I guess the follow-up, since you hadn't played in 2 to 3 weeks, does it make it a little bit easier? You are playing LSU to get people's attention?
Nah, I'm not. Listen, LSU, because it's an important game and we understand that. I mean, LSU is always going to get your attention because of what they've accomplished and what they've done, no doubt. But I think right now, not playing for 3 weeks, it wouldn't matter who we was playing to get our attention. I promise you that. But getting LSU does make it better. I mean, as far as getting your guy, because you got to play well. They're very talented and very well coached.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is Chuck Carlton from the Dallas Morning News, and then Justin Woodard.
Jimbo, you mentioned you have a whole lot of other concerns besides the college football playoff rankings. But I was just curious, this is such an unusual year because even with you having the 2 postponements, you will have played a lot more games than, say, teams in the Big Ten, teams in the Pac-12. Do you have any thoughts about how the committee should weigh that in terms of the rankings?
No, I mean, listen, I haven't had time to sit down and think about it. I'm trying to win games each week, and I joke, but they'll think through it. They'll do a good job. You got great people on the staff. You got a very diverse group of people who've had years and years of experience in college athletics and doing these things. They'll do a great job. And like I say, the thing about this year is it's not going to be even. As I say, fair, it will be fair because I think they'll make it fair. But things aren't going to be even. The number of games you play, who had to sit out. And you got to understand, sometimes it's because of COVID. Sometimes it's because it got started late. I mean, it's all because of COVID. But, I mean, different reasons that go in with it. So, I mean, listen, they'll do a great job. The committees will be strong. And, we have to trust those folks, and we'll live by what they say.
And a quick follow-up. The SEC is holding off on the game times for the first week in December. There's been speculation they might be readjusting the schedule. Has anybody at all contacted you about that?
I got the same thing what you just got right there. They said that 6 days before they would tell you the game times and all those types of things. I know exactly what you know.
Okay, we'll go to Justin Woodard from KAGS, then Mike Lucas from KAGS.
Hey, Coach, we hear a lot about complimentary football, right? It just seems like right now you guys on both sides of the ball, before obviously the 2-week hiatus, playing really well together. Like get a turnover or get a stop and you go down and score, coach, and you separate from your opponent. How big do you think that is right now for you guys?
I think it's a part of football that we don't talk about enough. We talk about third down, we talk about red zone, we talk about all the stats. But when do they come? When do they occur? What's the accumulation of when they occur? What's the, how the offense and defense played each other, momentum of the game and controlling momentum of the game and swings in the game. I think it's a very big part. And I think it's usually a very good sign of a football team that's understanding, how to playing well is one thing. Winning is another. There's 2 different parts to that. I really believe that. And you can play well and not always win. You know what I mean? And you can win and not always play well. You got to know, and you can steal games and you can play games and do things and play real well in games and situations not handled. It's an ever educating process. And I don't care what I think I got figured out as a coach. It educates me too, because games fly off every weekend of different reasons. But I think controlling those momentum swings and understanding that momentum and when to turn it up, and I say you turn it up, but really to really enhance and execute at those right times, it's pivotal and critical parts of the game. And our team's was doing a very good job of that. Hopefully we'll continue.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, we got Mike Lucas from KAGS, and then we have Greg Bailey.
Hey, Coach, when you have a stable of running backs that complement each other as well as Isaiah, Anais, and Ache, and all those guys do, what makes that such a difficult matchup for opposing defenses when each back kind of brings a little something different to the table?
Well, I think the game is so diverse now, and you do a lot of things. I mean, and then how they have to play there, it turns into a personnel matchup. You know what I mean? And just like, you get it's in basketball. Do I have a guard on a big guy, or if it's on the block, the big guy's going to win. If it's out on space, and hopefully the guard. Well, not always the guard wins nowadays. It changes, hasn't it? All them big guys play a lot more outside, but those things all matter. What you're trying to do, what you're trying to execute, and how you're trying to do it. And you have packages for guys, and the good thing is all those guys are learning. The thing I love about all those guys, they're excellent blockers. They run between the tackles, and when your little guys, as I say, your smaller guys can do that. It really makes it a tough matchup because they can't put all nickel and dime people in the game when they have to go in the game. So that helps with that. And then Isaiah's ability to catch the football as a big guy really helps him too, in my opinion. So, all those things matter, but a guy's skill set is what really it comes to factor. And those guys all have very unique skill sets, in my opinion, and are very diverse.
All right, we got time for a couple more questions. We'll go to Greg Bailey with KTRK, and then Randy McElvoy.
Hey, Jimbo, your offensive and defensive lines seem to have keyed so much of your success. What have you been able to do with those groups since you last played? And how will you kind of handle those groups this week to kind of maintain that physical edge that has been so important?
Well, every week, see what we did. Most of those guys were in practice all of last week. So we were ones on ones, twos on twos all week. We were good on good the whole week, all day. There was no scout teamwork. There was nothing. So we were playing against the best we could play against 4 straight days, and we did it. And we do that during the week. So we do that every Tuesday and Wednesday exclusively, very heavily too. And we'll do a little bit on Thursday. So to keep that edge and get that fastball look, we got it all last week. So we were playing against, as a matter of fact, right now, the top rated defense in the SEC each and every week with the front, and they were going against a team that could run the ball and do things very well. So the physicality of that part, we kept very sharp last week, hopefully it'll pay off.
All right, we'll finish up with Randy McElvoy from KPRC in Houston.
Hey, Jimbo, if you don't mind going back just to follow up on the running back situation, specifically just Spiller, if you don't mind just addressing kind of, and you mentioned his pass catching. What else has stood out to him when you go back to the past year to now and what he brings to that field
I think the physicality of runs and learning to take a 1 or 2 yard run and trying to make it a 3 or 4 yard run, not looking to break every play. I mean, there's times when you're good at there and there's nothing there. Let me just pound it and give me 2 or 3 yards. And that has a lot to do with our third down. All of a sudden it's 2nd and 8, 2nd and 7. All of a sudden it's 3rd and 4. Now you can make 3rd down instead of being 2nd and 10, 2nd and 11, thinking I'm going to keep bouncing things. I think he's done a great job of that. His pass blocking's got better. He's catching the football. And his overall knowledge of how to be an effective back. I mean, like I say, to a coach, maybe not to the fans, those things don't look spectacular. To a coach, man, they make a world of difference when you're trying to win a football game. And explaining that to him and him being very coachable that way and increasing his physicality and his, it's not selflessness. It's what a good back does. But because, a guy thinks I got the ball, I got to go score. I got to get a first down. Well, sometimes, a 3 yard run is a great play because it can set up the next thing. And I think he's done a great job of maturing in that way, being patient with what he does and then taking advantage of those opportunities when he gets them, those big ones.
All right, that's all the questions we have for you, Coach. Thank you.
Thank y'all. Y'all have a happy Thanksgiving.